Okay, and now I'm here to introduce Kyle, who I think we all know. And Kyle is going to be doing a presentation on some beautiful real photo cards from the Michel studio in Quebec. And most of these date from the late 40s, early 50s. And I will tell you honestly that I've had a preview of this, and they're absolutely terrific cards. I'm sure you will love them. So, just a second here. I'm I'm getting used to this, so you're going to have to give me a couple of minutes. We're going to, there we go. Okay, Kyle, I'm going to put you in the hot seat here. There you go.
Okay, thanks
All
very
right.
much, Sherry. Hello, everybody.
Okay.
So I had an email exchange this week with Yves Lebel, who's here today. He's a member of the Toronto Postcard Club and a prominent Quebec postcard dealer. Last year, he sold 800 real postcards from the Michel's photo studio and 1,000 Chrome versions, which come from the same studio, but often go under the name Carl's after George Henri Carls, who was the um, photographer and chief promoter of all these cards. This is a good example of a Michel photo card produced, I'm sure, for this camp of cabins on the north shore of the St. Lawrence at Cap de Madeleine. It's an interesting card for several reasons. It's taken from some kind of elevation. Maybe the photographer climbed up a telephone pole. Gives a good sense of perspective. There's a figure in the foreground, human figure in the foreground for scale. Um, Also in the distance is Trois-Rivières and one of the pulp and paper mills there. Also has a reference to the shrine nearby. So it touches on, post World War prosperity. People had more cars. Direction of these camps of cabins. And the resource extraction that's prominent in Quebec in the 20th century. Michel Photo was a camera store in Montreal that catered to the needs of amateur photographers. On the left is a typical backside in French for its real photo postcards with the store's address and, quote, Kodak films, accessoires, photo amateur, end of quote. On the right is an image that Charles Breton Demule kindly provided to me, a 1948 Montreal newspaper ad for its real photo postcards, priced at $35 per thousand postcards. With inflation, that's about $470 Canadian or $335 US. Perhaps expensive for the time, but not prohibitively expensive and a high quality product. Notable is that cameras were available, to take high quality pictures easily. You didn't need a bulky camera to take to the field. Many Michel photo postcards featured varied aspects of life in small Quebec communities such as Kazapskal and the Gaspésie. Gaspésie is the peninsula on the south side of the St. Lawrence River that juts out into the Atlantic Ocean. On the left is the bilingual sign at the entrance to the village of Kazapskal. And then on the right side is the towering Roman Catholic Church in Kazapskal. Two views of the village of Kazapskal. Kazapskal on the left is viewed from an overlooking hill, and on the right, Kazapskal is seen from across the Kazapskal River. Local businesses in Kazapskal included the Hotel Bellevue and pharmacy J.A. Bergeron. Catholic Church is very prominent in Quebec, though less so after the so-called Quiet Revolution of the 1960s and 1970s. Occupying prime real estate. Here we have the Kazapskal Roman Catholic Boys School and the Kazapskal Roman Catholic Convent. Kazapskal had a lot of tourist visitors, particularly because of fine salmon fishing nearby. Here's some more evidence of the really all-encompassing presence of the Catholic Church in Quebec prior to the Quiet Revolution. The interior of a Roman Catholic church and the grounds of a Roman Catholic shrine. On the left, the Roman Catholic Church in Carleton, Sur-Mer, and the Gaspésie, and that's serving like a community of about 4,000 people. So it's quite large inside. Quite a few number of shrines in Quebec that are tourist sites. On the right is the Our Lady of the Cape Sanctuary Shrine at Cap de Madeleine, now part of Trois-Rivières. One of the stellar figures in the history of the Catholic Church in Quebec is Brother Andre, helped heal many people. He's great. He's buried as part in the St. Joseph Oratory in Montreal. We'll see that in a moment. But this is a recreation of his of where he died in a Catholic hospital run by some nuns. On the left is the real photo version, and a couple years later is the chrome version with some small differences, like the door open, the chair position is a little different. I don't think this is part of the current display now, but it's typical of the veneration of saints that's associated with the Catholic Church. This is a chrome version of the St. Joseph's Oratory in Montreal. Really an enormous shrine to Brother Andre. His funeral was attended by like 1 million people in 1929. So incredibly significant in the history of the Catholic Church in Quebec. Michel photo postcards also document the landmark-sized convents and the local hospitals of the Roman Catholic Church. On the left is the mother house of the Little Franciscan Sisters of Mary in Bay St. Paul in the Charlevoix region. On the right is the large hospital St. Joseph, run by the same Catholic order in Bay St. Paul. Such hospitals were almost without exception became public hospitals, and that type of building on the left has been repurposed for community college uses or community uses in different Quebec communities. When many people entered convents and monasteries, if you go to a Quebec postcard show and look through boxes of real photo postcards, you'll find many pictures of seminarians. Textile factory in East Broughton, near the Eastern Townships region, with the workers' bicycles propped against the factory walls, is seen on the right. To me, this is a significant aspect of the Michel photo cards that gives some of them a really endearing nature to them. The renowned American photojournalist Walker Evans talked about lyric documentary, where you're not just photographing something as is, but you're kind of incorporating hidden meanings. And to me, the workers' bicycles, represent the workers inside the factory with its open windows, and also their daily routine of going to the factory and riding home. I mean, textile factory jobs don't pay well, but it's still steady employment in that region, which is otherwise, probably dominated by a lot of agricultural work in terms of dairy and butter and cheese production. So there's this imaginative and emotional connection to some of the Michel photo cards. A fire hall and city hall in L'Assomption, an off-island suburb of the city of Montreal. This image was kindly provided by Yves Lebel. And the Arvida Market and Bank of Montreal in Arvida, part of the city of Saginaw. This image can be found on the website of Bibliothèque and Archives Nationales de Québec, which is in process of acquiring and digitizing a vast collection of Quebec postcards. The Arvida is notable as a model community with specific zoning rules. Arvida is the site of a big aluminum smelter that was established in 1927. So it has very much of a modern planned feel to it. The Latuque train station in the Morrissey region on the left, and an agricultural building in St. Ambroise in Joliet County, both courtesy of Yves Lebel. The agricultural cooperative probably dealt in cheese and or butter, perhaps milk, from a lot of local farmers, a leading agricultural production region. Gold mine in East Malartic in northwestern Quebec. Fishing boats at Grand Riviere and the lighthouse and keeper's house at Matan, both in the Gaspésie. As you can see from this slide and the previous ones, the Michel photo cards represent all aspects of Quebec. Person who really traveled around and carefully captured prominent aspects of Quebec life. Gas stations are also a Michel photo subject. On the left, we have Yves Goulet Garage and Cafe at La Vie on the St. Lawrence River opposite Quebec City. And on the right, we have Garage Guimond in Lorraineville in the Temiskaming region. The card on the left has a particular emotional meaning for me because it represents long buried memories of life as a child in Ontario and in the late 1950s and early 1960s. So, I mean, you have a pylon sign for Esso, you'd find similar signs in Ontario and similar cars, but the card fits that what Evans called lyrical documentary category because the cars there, represent patrons inside the cafe, perhaps, having coffee or maybe breakfast or something. Or bridges were also landmarks captured by Michel photo postcards. The Pioneer Arvida Bridge at Saguenay, built in 1950, whose main structure is entirely made of aluminum. It is the longest aluminum bridge in the world. On the right is the Duplessis Bridge in Trois-Rivières, built in 1946 to 1947. 4 people died in 1951 when the West Bridge section collapsed due to poor quality steel. In 1953, it was rebuilt. A couple more scenic villages, also in the Gaspésie. The left is in downtown Matan, next to a hydroelectric dam over the Matan River. So hydroelectric power is important to the economic prosperity of Quebec in this time. On the right is over the Saint Maurice River in Latuque, located in north central Quebec and related to the local pulp mill company. Community buildings, another topic documented by Georges-Henri Carles. On the right is the community club in Latuque, built in 1920 to 1921 for pulp mill employees. On the right is a small parish hall in Trois-Pistoles in the Les Basses region. Restaurants, of course. On the left is a roadside restaurant in Notre-Dame de la Merci in the La Naudière region. The restaurant Au Canard Blanc. On the right is a cafe overlooking the St. Lawrence River in Capshot. And again, this fits that lyrical documentary category where the signs on the building really elevate it to a higher category, and really resembles some of Evans' work and other documentary photographers in the United States during the same period or from the 1930s on. One of the commissions that Georges-Henri Carles had was for the Victoria Lodge at Gracefield, Quebec, in the Outaouais region. That's near Ottawa on the Ontario side. Here's an exterior view of the lodge on the left. On the right is an inside view of the dining room. Similar views for other Quebec lodging establishments. Some more stuff that fits that lyrical documentary category. People relaxing in the kind of a salon or living room on the left, and people on the veranda. So it's documentary photography. People photographed as they are, with care and just people who are very relaxed. So they're not asked to take any special poses or anything, but quite appealing postcards. Another important commission was Jasper in Quebec, a hotel and ski resort lodge located in Saint-Donat in the Lenaudière region, operated from 1939 to 1959. And on the left is the main lodge in the summertime, and the inset on the bottom right is shown on the right image of a ski pin for that particular lodge, which shows winter and summer activities. Skiing at the hotel, which drew many international guests, on the left showing the ski hill and the lodge as well. On the right is the interior of the cocktail lounge. Perhaps a posed photo, but it does look very natural. Especially love the dog. I'm not a dog postcard collector, so this is probably the only postcard you'll ever see in any of my presentations which shows a dog. There you go. Some warm weather activities at Jasper in Quebec. On the left is a riding lesson, and on the right is riding the chairlift up to Sunset Mountain. Some of the many lodgings outside the Gaspésie. On the left is Chateau du Lac in Saint-Donat, a popular resort destination. Many Americans came there. On the right is Club Dubonnet and Hotel Voyer in Mont-Joli in the Bas-Saint-Laurent region. I love this card. It again fits into that lyric documentary category. You can almost see the patrons sitting at the table and people going in and out of the restroom doors, with French Canadian style figures for the male washroom and for the female washroom. It just screams, if I'm allowed to use that word, Francophone nation, and there's nothing Anglophone about this card. Hotel Royal was the largest hotel in the La Tuque area. On the left is a Michel photo card, and the cards give it a sense of motion as well. On the right is a later chrome postcard by a different publisher for comparison. The chrome postcards, are in a way too easy to produce. They don't require special care. They're still attractive, but the real photo postcards do have much more of a documentary category, so details aren't stripped out. And two interior views of Hotel Royal in La Tuque, the lobby with posters relating to bus service and local maps, and on the right is the salon or parlor. And again, you can almost feel people walking in and out of these areas, and detail that you just don't see on later chrome cards. Of course, the highway on the north shore of the St. Lawrence between Montreal and Quebec City was heavily traveled, so quite a few cabin-type establishments sprang up there. On the left is Cabines Donat Bernal at Batiscan between Trois-Rivières and Quebec City. And on the right is Bethez Cabins halfway between Montreal and Quebec City for 30 persons. So there's an aspect of that lyricism incorporated here, because there's a man either putting stuff in the car or unloading it. Chez Nous Motel and Cabins, also on that same route between Quebec City and Montreal, illustrates the transition from cabins to motel establishments. On the left-hand side, it's the highway view with a gas station, another Esso pylon sign. On the right is the Chez Nous Motel wing. Chez Nous cabins and a motel room style interior with electric heating, cabins on the right, and the motel room interior on hot cabins on the left and the motel room interior on the right. Orchestra and jukebox music was also provided at the Domaine Brandon Hotel at St. Gabriel de Brandon in the Lenaudière region. The card on the right again has that lyric documentary feeling to it. There's people seated. There's some people seated at tables, and there's a couple slowly dancing. lovely cards that draw you in when you look at them closely. Many Michel photo images of lodgings and other places in the Gaspésie have a genuine, unspoiled feeling to them. On the left is Hotel La Vieille Maison in Saint Anne des Monts, a circa 1860 farmhouse. On the right, Hotel Lemieux in Montlouis, with children playing in front of the hotel. Again, a card that clearly fits into that lyric documentary category. Some Gaspésie cabins, which were likely built next to existing buildings. On the left is Cabines Tourelle at Saint Wisham de Tourelle. My apologies to our French Canadian attenders for my pronunciation. Cabine Gaspésienne at Anse au Valo, also in the Gaspésie. Delicious meals at hotels also attracted guests. The backside of the postcard on the left has the message, September 4th, 1952, lunch here, very, very good. Card on the right is the highway view of Hotel du Golfe and cabins in Rivière Madeleine. On the right is the hotel building for this establishment. So highways like that pictured on the card on the left, made travel easy to these areas. People could come up from New York City or the New England states, or from Ontario, and as they do today, and have a lovely week's holiday in this region. A beautiful, beautiful windswept area. Spectacular seaside views are an enduring attraction of Gaspésie hotels. On the right, on the left is Hotel du Rocher at Madeleine Cendre. On the right are some cabins overlooking the ocean at Cap des Rosiers with the lighthouse in the background. Large Gaspésie hotels are also featured on Michel photo postcards. On the left-hand side is Baker Hotel in the city of Gaspé, which started operations in 1881 and burned down in 1975. On the right is Hotel Madeleine-sur-Mer in River Madeleine. Well-composed photos of Gaspésie streets also add to the wide appeal of Michel photo postcards to postcard collectors in Quebec. On the left is the main street of Amqui, with Hotel Gagnon bedecked with pre-1948 flags celebrating the Fête Nationale du Québec, Saint Jean Baptiste Day, held on June 24th of each year. On the right is New Carlisle, famous as the boyhood home of Premier René Lévesque. St. Andrew's Anglican Church is on the left-hand side. New Carlisle is an Anglophone or English community, but the Michel photo cards largely depict the French or Francophone areas of Quebec. It seems that at some point in the early 1950s, Michel Photo switched to only publishing chrome postcards such as these two examples. I think they simply looked at the economics. They were just much cheaper to produce, and other people were coming into the market as well. On the left is Fabrique Street and the Cathedral in Quebec City. This one was printed in the USA. Very French feel to that card. On the right is St. Catherine Street in Grande-Mere, now in the city of Shawinigan. And this card was printed in Canada. And this is our final slide. The real photo window that these cards depict, it closed. But the beauty of the Michel real photo postcards, like this panoramic one from the Gaspésie, remains to be enjoyed. Voilà, c'est tout. That's all. Thank you very much.
Well, that's terrific, Kyle. Thank you so much.
So I've noticed the same type of lettering on a bunch of Port Elgin, Ontario cards. Is that the same studio? This is the writing.
Oh,
Yeah, that looks very close to it.
yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like he did venture out into Ontario. This is near, the Grand Bend area, Port Elgin. But yeah, there's a bunch of postcards from Port Elgin with the same type of writing. But on the back of the postcard, I noticed on the Quebec cards, It's marked with the studio name, but on the Ontario card, there's nothing on the. It's not labeled here.
Well, those are considerably early. That's 1936.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Yes, I just wanted to clarify if that is the same photographer or
well, maybe not because of the difference in time.
okay.
Yeah. It's hard to say.
Hmm.
We'd also have to look at the actual real photo back, the stamp box.
Right. Yeah, there's on eBay you'll see some of them from Port Elgin, and it's EKC, I believe, Ektachrome.
Yeah. The
Oh,
Michel photo cards are CK.
oh, maybe that's
CKC.
yeah, maybe that's what I'm looking at, right? So CK, you'll see here,
Yeah. Yeah. That's very. It looks like the same box.
and the same type of writing there on this card.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, nice cards. We have a few questions here, not too many. Would you like me to read them?
I'm sure.
Okay. Well, actually, there's a comment here from Tom Luton. Tom is saying the train at the Latuque station is a self-propelled car that was nicknamed a doodlebug.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah. I don't remember the card specifically. Okay, and then we have Larry is saying great presentation. From Delt Lover, did you examine the card back to determine the paper used?
Well, I mean, it's a real photographic paper. A lot of them have that same CK back to them.
Yeah, I've got a number of cards from that period, like the 50s, 40s, 50s, and I find most of them are either on CKC or they're on Kodak. CKC being a Kodak product. So I'm not sure what else. There's a few actually from with Velox, which was also a Kodak product. They were
It's
all
a
Yeah,
Kodak products, I
yeah.
think, by then.
Some of the postcard backs show that they're made in Canada.
Yeah. Well, CKC was the Canadian version of the Kodak
Okay.
product, and I think the US version, I think it was like AKC or something like that.
it's a Seco card. It's a Seco card
Oh,
back,
Seco. Okay.
and it's supposed to be from the years 1907 to 1929. That's the date the back period was manufactured.
Well, those wouldn't be these.
I'm sorry, can I see the back again? Sorry. Oh, it is a Seco back, and it's from post 1920.
Well, I have a question here. Do we know how long the company operated? I know you mentioned like it started in the early 40s. Do you know how long they lasted?
Well, the general consensus seems to be about 1954 or 1955.
Okay.
Thank you. It's a terrific
Yeah.
program. Thank you.
Beautiful photos. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it was interesting to see the different style.
Yeah. Yeah.
The different,
I especially like the photos of the hotels with the people just kind of hanging around and doing their thing and not posing and not doing any special, but look like they're having a nice, relaxing time.
Okay, well,
Okay.
thank you everyone for coming.
Well, thank you very much, Kyle. That was a terrific presentation.